Hey everybody, just stopping in to let you know that Amanda and I are taking next week off for CrimeCon, and we will be back the week after. Enjoy the show. Live, Laugh, Larceny discusses true petty crimes that may be disturbing to some.
Or could be easy listening to all you psychopaths out there.
All stories are based on actual events, but details may vary.
Listener discretion is not advised.
Live,
Laugh.
Larceny. Welcome to Live, Laugh, Larceny. If the Twilight Zone had a child who eats grass. This is Trevin.
And I'm Amanda. I would love that child to the end of time.
I feel like that's us. We're the perfect version of that.
Yes. So Trevin, what's dreadful?
I don't know what it is, but I feel like around this time, I seem to do a lot of apologizing for being a football fan. You know, I did the episode a while back where I was saying, I can't remember what the hot button issue was, but the NFL was doing something.
Yeah.
And have you heard or seen all the Harrison Butker stuff going on?
Okay.
Because we are in Kansas City. It's a very bigger deal here, and it's a very local issue.
I saw somebody put a weird, ominous status about it, but I didn't have the time to look into it or even know what was going on.
So Harrison Butker, the kicker for the Chiefs, and I don't like to do this kind of thing. I don't want to talk about dishing the tea and this kind of opinionated stuff, but I feel that this is pretty important because a nerve of mine got struck.
Ooh, not a nerve.
So Harrison Butker gave a commencement speech at the Benedictine College in Atchison, Kansas, not too far from here.
Yeah.
It's a Catholic school, but he gave a very big speech, which Emily and I sat and watched the whole 20-minute thing last night. It's like I'm fucking walking on eggshells with this.
I have no idea what you're about to say.
He has a bunch of different things that he talks about, and you can tell that the way he talks and a lot of it is just like, we have a bad leader, and that's why these things are happening in the world, and you can tell he's just like hating on the president. It's not saucy for me, I don't care. These are all things we've all heard before, but in his commencement speech, he found it important to say, and to all the women in the audience or who's graduating today, he says, you all are very excited for getting your degrees, but what is really important and special is that you're going to now go forth and become a wife. And
No, he did not.
Now I'm paraphrasing, but I'm not like churching it up.
I mean, no matter how you say that, like, even if he said, you fine women out there in the audience, you must be so proud of that amazing degree that you just got. But what's really great that's coming your way, what's really going to make you amazing is becoming a wife. Like, even if he said it in a positive, weird way, that's not okay. What?
He had said, like, through all the stuff that him and his family had achieved and blah, 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 and his wife, he's like, my wife also graduated from a great school. And he was like, but she knew that her life really meant something more when she earned the title of homemaker.
Oh my God. Okay. Wow. I've got to watch this speech. But yeah, I have seen people make statuses. But yeah, okay. It's all making sense.
So inside of this speech, he also addresses masculinity and how men should be unapologetically masculine and something about emasculating men these days and stuff like that. And that struck a nerve with me.
Do tell.
Well, one, it's just like the messages we send people, like think about the things you say to people.
Yeah.
You're sitting here on somebody's graduation day and you're just speaking generally to women and saying, like, this is your big day. You just graduated. You know what? We're going to check the receipts on this. For the ladies present today, congratulations on an amazing accomplishment. You should be proud of all that you have achieved to this point in your young lives. I want to speak directly to you briefly because I think it is you, the women, who have had the most diabolical lies told to you. How many of you are sitting here now about to cross this stage and are thinking about all the promotions and titles you are going to get in your career? Some of you may go on to lead successful careers in the world, but I would venture to guess that the majority of you are most excited about your marriage and the children you will bring into this world. I can tell you that my beautiful wife, Isabel, would be the first to say that her life truly started when she began living her vocation as a wife and as a mother. I am on this stage today and able to be the man that I am because I have a wife who leans into her vocation. I am beyond blessed with many talents God has given me, but it cannot be overstated. All my success is made possible because a girl I met in band class back in middle school would convert to the faith, become my wife, and embrace the most important title of all, homemaker.
What? I'm sorry, but next time any man in the world out there anywhere says, I'm going to speak for you all and tell you what actually you're all excited for, please just don't, because you're most likely wrong. And it's just, you don't know that, so don't say that. Right. Oh my God, there's so much wrong with that.
And of course, you're going to have a lot of people who share these beliefs who are really going up to bat for him. I, being from Kansas City, it's a much bigger deal, as I said. I have a family member that just shared one of his quotes as a very inspirational thing.
From the same speech?
From that same speech. It was about being unapologetically masculine and just like not having to apologize.
What?
But I don't really know how quite to articulate it. But there are things in that way of speaking that is made to kind of keep people held back. Mm-hmm. I find that very frustrating. I was talking to somebody at work about education and how, you know, growing up, I used to think that I was just a C student, so I didn't really think that I was really capable of doing more, just because that was kind of the system I was first put into. And that was basically the story that was given to me. Oh, you're an average student. You catch a lot of shit from your parents from not being that good at it. You know, this just doesn't make a lot of sense for you. You must just be dumb. Mm-mm. And it wasn't until I was able to teach myself and learn things in my own way that I found out, hey, I'm actually a very intelligent person. And that kind of stuff and those kind of narratives that people are told, like, I just can't imagine, even if you are a woman in the crowd and you do believe in that and you do think that, oh, a woman's best place in the world is by a man or something like that, to be fed that over and over and over again, I feel like that's very limiting. Mm-hmm. And to think like the potential I could have had in my life if maybe I didn't hear messages like that.
No, seriously. Like, even for the men, like, so many men, I think it would be good for them to be told, you don't have to be overly masculine all the time. He's literally saying the opposite of that.
Yes. I was once told, and this is like a very personal thing of mine, but I was once told as a very young boy that if I didn't want to go out and do a bunch of like manly chores type things, that my penis was going to disappear. I was going to grow long hair and boobs and become a girl. And that was told to me in a way kind of like they meant it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like that might actually happen. And I think that did kind of shape myself to, you know, the ways of how men can talk and how the masculine way of life can be. And it's always opened my mind to it.
Yeah.
It's incredibly limiting to think that because that was where I was supposed to have gone, mm-hmm. that it took me so much longer to reach where I am now.
Right. And this is like a well-known figure giving a commencement speech.
If I wanted to have this argument with this family member face to face, they'd say, oh, well, not you. Why? You know, like you're perpetuating the thing that I got away from. Mm-hmm. If you're going to be confronted with it, but it wouldn't be you.
Yeah.
I don't think people get the messages that go through with that, and that's really frustrating.
Yeah. No, thanks for opening up, Trevin, and sharing that. It's a beautiful thing to be able to express yourself. It's nice to hear it from your point of view.
Yeah, I was supposed to try to keep that more funny, but I wasn't really able to do it.
It's okay. I actually have a dreadful dilemma as well. And I was telling Trevin that there just must be something going on in the world because all the current dilemmas in my life, they are way too sad. They are way too sad. But I do have one, and it has to do with being a chaperone at my daughter's zoo field trip recently. I told this to Trevin right after it happened, and he was like, I can't believe you're not sharing this on the show. So it's time.
Yes.
I was chaperoning at the zoo, and I was in charge of 3 children, counting my own. Okay, so 3 total. And it was my daughter, another girl, and then a little boy. And I almost feel bad like saying his name, but I feel like I have to make the story make sense.
Yeah, I mean, we're not making fun of the name.
No. It was just, it's funny how I had to shout it repeatedly. But one of the boys that I was responsible for, his name was Ka. And so I kept losing him, first of all. I always had eyes on the two girls, but Ka, he was running around everywhere to all the different exhibits. And so for me, I had to keep screaming this child's name. And I was like, Ka, Ka, Ka. And it sounded like I was trying to be a bird in one of the cages, and it was really awkward. And as soon as I said it, I was like, oh God, and I was mortified. But like, what am I to do?
Oh, I would have hated you if I heard anybody behind me at the zoo and they're just like, caw, caw. You can't speak bird, lady. Shut the hell up.
I know. That's probably what it seemed like. And I'm like, no, you guys don't understand. I'm missing a child.
And there's nothing else you can really do. Because the way I am to try to avoid really awkward situations, I try to just like use synonyms or work around it. But you're not going to be like, little boy, or
little buddy, please.
Or like his last name, Mr. O'Brien.
It was just a really funny situation to find myself in.
Mm-hmm.
But I made it through the day. All the kids made it through, and it was a success. We saw all the animals we wanted to see. But yeah, when I had to shout "Ka, Ka" out repeatedly at the zoo, that was really a new moment for my life, I think.
Well, also just being a chaperone in charge of kids that aren't all yours or that you're not familiar with, that's a dilemma all on its own. Had you done much of that in your career as a mother so far?
No, I've only chaperoned one other thing, and it was like a play. So I just had to keep an eye on the row of children I was sitting in.
Mm-hmm.
So it was pretty easy. But the zoo, I mean, you're in a crowd, and it just so happened to be that there were a bunch of schools doing their field trip on the exact same day. So it was like a sea of children, a sea of them. And it was a lot of pressure.
This is like an ongoing theme that comes up every like 15 episodes or something. But this is like that thing that seems really scary about being a parent is the amount of different people you're forced to deal with.
Oh, yeah.
Or being in charge of somebody else's kid just because you're doing a child's activity or event or something.
Yeah.
Ugh.
At the end of the day, I had two little girls ask me if they could hold my hand to exit the zoo.
Mm-hmm.
And Lila was holding hands with one of her friends ahead of me. And I was just holding the hands of these two girls. And I was like, is this weird? I mean, they asked me, so they must feel comfortable because I was hanging out with them all, you know, during the day. But I don't know, if I wasn't at the zoo and there was a nice parent, I wouldn't mind Lila, you know, holding their hand. But it was just a lot of weird pressure. Like, am I doing this okay? I don't know.
Yeah, I don't want to say something wrong and like mess the kid up or something.
Yeah, exactly. Well, Trevin.
Yes.
Do you want to play a round of Would You Rather?
I would.
Would you rather?
You know, we've been doing so many, I feel like big extra things lately. And then we had like your music story with all the songs and stuff and
the listener tales.
The listener tales with the extra story. We had your fun birthday intro.
Yes.
And, you know, sometimes we don't just take time and have a little fun, play a game.
Yeah.
It doesn't have to always be learning.
I don't want to learn every second of my life. Do you?
Hell nah. So I've got a Would You Rather. It's one that I've heard before, but it's fun, and I have this feeling you've never heard it.
Ooh, okay.
So would you rather sing All-Star by Smashmouth every time you orgasm, or orgasm every time you hear or read a reference of Smashmouth's All-Star?
That is so random, first of all, but I love Smashmouth. I remember when Shrek first came out and Smashmouth was a part of the soundtrack and everything. Oh, but my God, every time you orgasm or every time you hear them or a reference to them, you orgasm. Oh, my.
Just the song. So if somebody does one of those memes where it's like, somebody wants, like those memes that you see all the time.
Yeah. And you'd be like, oh!
Yeah.
Every time? Oh, my God. Okay. I mean, would it be awkward and weird for my husband? Sure. But he can handle whatever. So honestly, I think I'd have to go with the first one. I think every time I had an orgasm, I would want to sing the song. The only reason I'm saying that is because he can handle it. I don't care. I think it'd be kind of funny. So you're telling me every time I watched Shrek with my children?
Hey, that's a would you rather question.
Yeah, so I think I'd have to go with the first.
Or
What about
avoid
you?
Shrek.
Or avoid Shrek at all costs. What would you do?
I think I would probably have to do that too. And I think the thing that really plays a big part in it is whether you're single or not.
Oh, that's true.
If you have a partner that you're just like, hey, this is what it's going to be, then you can make it a cute
you're
thing.
You're an all-star.
Yeah.
Get your game on.
Your partner could walk by you in the kitchen and say, think I'll be here on All-Star tonight? But if you were single and you're trying to date and you're just like, oh God, I really don't want them to know that I might sing All-Star tonight. But at the same time, you're like, I hope I do. That would be very difficult. But at the same time, if you're single and you're having kind of a lonely night, you can just turn All-Star on.
Yeah, that's true.
Light some candles.
That's true. That's true.
Almost boils down to, are you single or not?
No, I'm with you. I think that's 100% true. But let us know, listeners, because wow.
The days start coming and they don't stop coming.
But I love that. Oh my God.
Or it's the years start coming, isn't it? Whatever.
Close enough. Well, I also have a would you rather question for you, Trevin.
Okay.
This would you rather does tie in to our show and a lot of the crimes that have occurred. So, would you rather have a horrendous viral mugshot or have a belligerent cop cam footage of you? Whichever one you choose, everyone is seeing it. Okay. The mugshot or what is it called? Dash cam.
Like, okay.
But both of them are viral. Everyone's seen it. Which would you rather have?
I would say mugshot.
Why?
Because I like myself in photos more than in video. So I think I look way better in still life than in motion.
See, I go back and forth. Mugshots are really well lit, okay? Maybe on a dash cam, you'd have more opportunity for it to be kind of grainy and dark. However, kind of like you're saying, video is much more embarrassing. Mm-hmm. Like in the mugshot, you look crazy or you look bad or you look whatever. It's like a horrible picture of you. Mm-hmm. But the video, not only do you look horrible, but you're probably doing something horrible or embarrassing too.
Right. It's easier to explain a bad picture than a bad video most times.
Yes, that's true. But then on the other hand, I think of all the content you could make with a video.
Oh my God. If I did that, yeah, of course. I mean, I'd probably pick it in that sense, I guess.
But no, I'd have to go mugshot as well. I'm with you. I did go back and forth, really, truly. So, another thing that you might have to decide on is which ad you like better.
I want them all. And welcome back.
Hi.
It's my week to go first. I'm back to my safe zone. I'm in the news.
Okay.
We're not doing any of these personal datings, weird stories, and we're not going to do a listener story today.
Okay. Mm-hmm.
But I've got a good one, and I'm going to tap into an emotion that I think every human being on Earth knows, and we are just going to relate and hear this one out.
I'm ready.
So, without any more buildup, here we go. Growing up, there was no feeling in the world worse than being left out. Whether it be birthday parties, club invites, or sports teams you weren't skilled enough to join. There was something about the shame that made the home you returned to feel like a prison. No consolation activity holds your interest as you choose to ruminate on what everyone else is doing instead. Are they better than me? Is it more fun because I'm not there? Is this a declaration of war? Being left out is the gift that keeps on giving, because it fills up more time than just social situations you aren't a part of. The aftershock from these atrocious events carry on forever, casting large waves that distort our perception of everything. Even the busier and matured lives of adults aren't safe from these emotions. They just get more complicated. Instead of the cattiness of a shitty kid's acceptance,
you're okay, I guess.
We deal with career-altering decisions. And instead of something small like a birthday invite, we miss out on more important stuff, like orgies. I'm still salty. No matter who you are or how perfect your life is, you've at least experienced one significant point in your life where you felt left out. And the subject of today's story is no different. In today's taint-tingling tale, I'm going to remind you all of what it feels like to be excluded. So if you've never gone on a double date just to have your roommate take both of the women to his room afterwards, this story might give you a little perspective. Jessica's palms were sweaty, knees weak, and arms heavy. She sat down to have a lunch of reheated spaghetti. She's nervous, but on the surface, she was getting ready to face her fears and have a social interaction with friends. Her apartment was stocked with all the dining essentials a 21-year-old college student would need. A 12-pack of PBR, an expired bottle of ketchup, last night's chalupa she didn't finish, and a quarter bag of Cool Ranch Doritos. As far as planning goes, Jessica was stocked up for a gathering of at least 4 additional girlfriends. But even with only 2 coming, she felt nervous. The nature of Jessica's fear was not in her preparedness with the snacks, but more in her mental preparedness to host. This was Jessica's big chance at getting out there in college. She was new to school, and her advisor challenged her to take a leap and host new friends. "You go get this, girl," his quilted soft voice replayed in her head. With her advisor's past motivations guiding her thumbs, Jessica sent a text to her new art school acquaintances, Bailey and Haley. The second the green check mark next to her message lit up, she knew there was no going back. "You're cordially invited to day drink at my place. Time now. I got PBR. Hurry up, betches." Eggplant emoji. Jessica reread the text, immediately regretting her choice of words. "Betches?" She cringed. Her attempts at coming off fun and inviting made her feel more like a weirdo stuck in 2007. The realization of how uncool she looked sent her right back to high school, the last time she got left out. Fragments of memories flew by, reminding her of the betrayal she felt, the judgment from her past classmates, and the snickering from the mean girls she thought were her friends. Were they talking about her, or just enjoying themselves innocently? She would have no way of knowing, and that question made it that much harder. "You can do this! You can make new friends!" she yelled, snapping her focus back to the patio drinking session at hand. In just 30 short minutes, Jessica was directing her new friends to the patio and pulling 3 cold PBRs out of the fridge. Everything happened so fast that she had even forgotten to worry. Their fun personalities meshed so well that the conversation never stopped. Her perception of time was lost in the hustle and bustle of holding an in-person conversation. It felt like they just got there, but an hour had already passed.
"I've had to piss like a horse since I got here. Jessica, where's your bathroom?"
Bailey said, standing up from Jessica's Adirondack chair.
"Let's just say life gave me lemons because I'm about to make my own lemonade,"
Haley added, also rising to her feet. Jessica showed her guests to the 2 available bathrooms, grabbing another PBR and going back to the deck. She leaned over the side railing, placed awkwardly next to the sidewalk. Even though all she had was a good view of traffic, and the pedestrian sidewalk traffic was way too close to her living quarters, she found a way to see past that and just enjoy a drink outside. After all, it was a college town. She had seen most people in the area. As she looked slightly over the nearby street, an irrational fear began to creep into her mind. What if they went to the bathroom at the same time, just to leave her out? She struggled with her emotions, as flashbacks from her past began to surface. Children's laughter was heard, as she remembered the time she was denied access to her own senior prom.
"If you lost your ticket, you can't get in."
The teacher's assistant's words rang on, reminding her of the last time she was left out. "No!" Jessica shouted, taking charge of her own narrative. "I'm hosting a great get-together. I've got the bowl of Cool Ranch Doritos, I've got the PBR. What else could 3 college girls need? It's been nothing but laughs, and we all collectively lost track of an hour. I am doing great." Feeling slightly embarrassed, Jessica turned away from the railing, realizing that a passing stranger may have heard the pep talk she just gave herself. As she turned back toward her apartment door, out popped Haley.
"Nice bidet. I decided to give my undercarriage a sprucing while I was in there,"
she said, as Bailey scooted around them. As the 3 sat back down, Bailey spoke up to thank their host.
"Jessica, I really want to thank you for sharing this offering of PBR and stale-ass chips. It's great to get to know you, and this also allowed me to know Haley better too. I hope we can do this more often."
Jessica's heart was aflutter, as those words of affirmation were all she needed in the moment. Her lungs filled with air as she went to give an exhilarated response. "Thank you so much!" "Yo, can I get that PBR?" Bailey and Haley stretched their heads around Jessica as she slowly looked behind herself. Slightly below their eye level and on the sidewalk, stood the same man that was walking by before.
Excuse me?
Jessica asked, repositioning herself to better see the man. Yeah, I was just walking by and couldn't help but notice that you all were drinking PBRs and having some kind of tasty tortilla snack. And I was kind of feeling left out. So I didn't know if maybe you'd give me a PBR, the man asked, trying not to impose. Jessica thought back to the time she felt left out. How she saw her high school friends doing coke and dancing to One Direction in the gym, decorated in a futuristic theme.
The best night ever!
While all she could do was cry in the parking lot, stealing some other kid's prom program to scrapbook as her own. She knew his pain all too well, but it still didn't change the fact that he was kind of creeping her out.
No way! Do you know how weird this is that you even asked?
She said, sending the man on his way. With the man out of sight, the three girls continued on with their patio hangout sesh. The more PBRs the group drank, the more personal the conversations got.
What's the hardest you've ever cried?
They were growing closer by leaps and bounds. This made Jessica's fears a thing of the past. The PBR binded the three like an ancient stone that disperses the power of friendship. They bought concert tickets for a later date, and even told some juicy sex stories.
So anyway, he had this boner.
This felt like a forever friendship that her comfort was instantly felt. But throughout the laughs and fun of her patio hangout, she thought about the man she shooed away. He couldn't have been much more than 10 years older than her, and he was feeling left out. Here she was, trying to crawl her way out of her own battles with feeling left out, and she's excluding another from her own fun. She fantasized about how generous she would be if she had a second chance.
Can I get a PBR?
She'd give him a whole fresh beer if she could.
It's the least I could do for someone who's feeling left out,
she thought, getting lost in the cheers to her own internal crowd. Slowly coming back to reality, she looked back at her two guests, staring dumbfounded.
Jessica, are you going to answer him?
Haley asked, uncomfortably directing her attention behind her. Turning around, Jessica locked eyes with the stranger again. She thought back on the self-gratitude parade she threw for herself, thinking about how kind she was going to be with this chance. But now that she had it, she was still pretty creeped out.
Hey, I asked if I could get a PBR.
The man yelled with an irritated voice.
I don't have any more,
she yelled, siding with her gut feeling. The stranger's annoyed look changed to a menacing stare of anger. In one quick motion, he jumped onto the deck and lifted his shirt to reveal the black and silver handle of a weapon for stabbing.
Then how about the one you got right there?
The man yelled, thrusting his hip to draw attention towards the item in his waistband.
Look at it!
Feeling threatened by the weapon presented, Jessica chose to keep her life over keeping a half-full, warm PBR.
Jesus Christ, take it!
She yelled, reaching the can towards the now militarized mooch.
Was that so hard?
The man remarked back, dropping his shirt and walking back down the sidewalk. The three girls ran inside and locked the door, grabbing the nearest phone to dial 911.
What are we gonna say?
Bailey asked in a frantic whisper.
I don't know. PBR robbed at knife point?
Haley piped back. The ringing continued until it abruptly stopped, connecting with the operator.
911, what's your emergency?
In April of 2012, 21-year-old college student Jessica Robertson was robbed of a half-drank can of Pabst Blue Ribbon beer. According to reports, Jessica was drinking on her patio with friends at her apartment in Lincoln, Nebraska, before being interrupted by a passerby requesting a drink. The man approached the group 2 different times, asking for a beer and being denied. It was after the second attempt that the maniacal mooch lifted his shirt to reveal a black and silver handle in his waistband. In fear, Jessica had handed over the drink she had been drinking when the man fled the scene. Police found and arrested the man a short time later, identified as 35-year-old Nehemiah Winters. Winters still had the half-full PBR in his hand, promptly being forced to pour it out, and revealed his black and silver-handled weapon to be an ordinary dinner fork. Originally facing a terroristic threats charge, Nehemiah Winters eventually pleaded no contest to a disturbing the peace charge, landing him 30 days in jail and a $250 fine. As for the 21-year-old college girl victim, she got her own happy ending. After news reports got around about her half PBR robbed at Fork Point, Pabst Blue Ribbon sent their local representative to her apartment to replace her half-filled can of beer with 2 full cases of ice-cold PBR. Together, Jessica shared a can with the representative, while being quoted saying, "My parents will be so proud." It's a special kind of justice when a bogart like Nehemiah Winters can learn his lesson. Although approaching someone on their own patio is weird, you should probably take no for an answer after shooting your initial first shot. Although I know college towns have a tendency to be lawless from time to time. Being left out can cause us to make terrible decisions. It can lead us to use regular household items as weapons. It can also end our nights alone, listening to the sound of 2 female moans coming from the room next door. Whether it's one of these very specific instances, or anything in between, the feelings are similar. The damage of being left out can take a long time to work through, especially if these feelings started at a young age. Early lessons can form misguided narratives in our own heads, making it even harder for people to want to hang out with you, continuing the cycle of being left out. Sometimes it's the group you're trying to fit in with, or sometimes you're just a goon. Being left out has too many variables to diagnose in the story. But I can tell you that if you want a free beer, just work on your conversation skills. I don't know how many times a good story has earned me a free beer. I've made it this far into an episode. You've already heard one bizarre crime and some interesting facts. Use those in a social setting to gain some cool points. That's what they're there for. If one of our facts or stories can score you a free can of piss water in a social setting, then Amanda and I can sleep soundly, knowing that we've made a change in this world.
That's all I need to sleep soundly at night. Wow, Trevin, you're telling me that this guy robbed her of a half-drank PBR with a fork?
Yeah. They had a quote from her where she was, did I say the quote? She said, I wasn't about to lose my life over a half can of PBR, which, fair.
Yeah, exactly. Oh my God. I just have so many questions. So many questions.
I mean, even if he did reveal it as a fork, I still would have been like, just take the fucking beer.
Yeah.
I don't want to even be poked in the arm with that thing.
I know. I mean, he's jumping onto the deck already, right? So that's already like an invasion. And I don't care what kind of pokey object you have. I don't want it.
Yeah, butter knife. Even if you want to whack my knuckle with a spoon.
Yes.
Take
the
half
hot
beer.
beer. Have you ever had PBR?
Yeah, I've had it, but I'm not really a beer drinker ever.
Yeah.
I have to be like blackout drunk to drink a beer.
See, I like beer, but PBR is not my go-to at all.
Yeah,
at all.
I believe it's a cheap one, correct?
Yeah.
Even though there's something classy about it.
There is, when you said it was a college town, I was like, oh, okay. Because I would have drank any beer in the college days,
Mm-hmm.
So he was about to be charged with something very serious, and then it got lowered to the disturbing the peace. Is that what you said?
It was something I had never heard of, and it was just in one like passing article because they didn't really follow up with it.
As they do. I found that to be kind of fascinating. So they thought it was an actual knife, right? And then when it was determined to be a fork, they're like, meh, disturbing the peace.
Yeah, they said terroristic threats charge.
Whoa.
It might have been also that a lawyer would have stepped in and been like, terroristic threats charge. They probably tried to make it bigger at first, and they probably talked it down.
Yeah.
And they also said he was already spending so much time in jail originally, because I don't think he had the bail money or had the ability to get the bail. So he had already spent so much time in jail waiting for the trial or the whatever, the case, when they said, oh, you get a 30-day, and they're like, oh, you already did it, so bye.
Oh, wow. Yeah, he doesn't have bail money. He's begging for a half PBR.
Yeah, for real.
Wow.
So I just thought that
my
was
God.
a very basic, small, concealed little story, but college town, it's a lawless place.
It is. Trust and believe. We both know that.
I mean, our poop towel story was a college story.
I know. And when you were telling this story, our friend Macy, she had a balcony in her college apartment, and I was picturing this entire story happening at her apartment because it was right by a sidewalk, like all the things. It was very well done because I was like envisioning it.
I've stayed at places like that where I walk in on their back patio, and to me, it makes me so uncomfortable to think about, which I'm sure it's something you just get used to.
Yes.
But when it's not your world or the thing you're used to, you just kind of look at it and you're like, oh my God, I don't know if I could handle that.
I know. It's like my one place of serenity.
Yeah.
And there's randos walking by with forks in their belts.
Yeah. Like, what if they just like touched you?
Right. Or even
Poked you.
looked at you.
Ew.
Ugh. Well, that was good. And I already know what our connections are going to be.
Oh, hell yeah.
So we definitely have them, but also very different. It is my turn to tell a story, and I am going back to the news as well. But this is one that I resonated with a lot. The whole setting of my story is something that I've done myself, that I've been a part of, something that you've even been included with. So it's definitely something we can all relate to. I know you said yours was relatable as well. This one's no different. So here we go. Throwing a birthday party for a 1-year-old is much more difficult than it sounds. With a child that young, it feels impossible to really know what they want.
Goo goo gaga.
It's up to the parent to choose the theme, dessert flavor, and party tunes, all while hoping it pleases the birthday baby. Besides entertaining the kid, hosts also have to consider the party guests. Not only is it important to make the other jealous children feel included, but that goes for the adults as well. You can do this by making a special batch of brownies for adults only, or letting the tense mothers take a whack at the defenseless piñata.
Take that, you flimsy fuck!
These tips are helpful, sure, but sometimes the success of a first birthday party is out of your control. Today's story is about one of these instances of celebration gone awry, jumping into the question of what's worse, a pity party or a petty party. It was a warm afternoon in Port St. Lucie, Florida, in May of 2017. The perfect weather for a party. Luckily for Deborah Ramiro and her family, they definitely had something to celebrate. Today was the day of Deborah's youngest daughter, baby Sue's first birthday party. In preparation for the event, Deborah had created custom invitations, hired a professional DJ, and rented a pink and purple princess bounce house. Of course, she ran all the details by baby Sue, receiving only a few objections about adding vegetables to the party menu. Deborah stayed up for hours the night before the party, stressing about the lack of RSVPs and wrestling with her DIY balloon arch.
Almost there! Shit!
Yet, the day of the party, everything appeared to have effortlessly fallen into place. The decor was regal, yet age-appropriate, and the DJ bumped remixes of Baby Shark on repeat.
Baby shark doo 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 doo. Boom.
Guests started to arrive, each carrying a pastel gift bag with an adorable pun on it about turning 1. The young partygoers greeted each other with awkward and shy stares before chasing each other around the backyard, while the adults gathered around drinking as they admired the energetic children.
Did you give your kid Coke for breakfast?
Once all the attendees were present, Deborah began inflating the large princess bounce house she rented. Hearing the surge of power and loud gush of air from the fan, the children gathered around. Before them, the lifeless canvas started to expand, revealing a pink and purple princess castle. The kids gawked up at the towering structure, excited to enter their new kingdom.
Hell to the yeah.
Quickly, the bounce house was full of inexperienced jumpers, ranging from ages 1 to 10. A few youngins squealed as they played crack the egg, and others clumsily twirled and flipped around them. The parents laughed as their offspring jumped and fell, knowing it was all in good, innocent fun. That is, until disaster struck. Suddenly, the propellers on the inflatable's fan came to a screeching halt, leaving an eerie quiet in its wake. Children jumping inside landed in sunken patches of tarp. Tiny tots fell on top of each other, screaming out for their mommies. And a few were like fish out of water, caught in the bounce house netting and flailing on the hard ground.
I had a good run.
The parents raced to the deflatable in a panic to save their young. They dug through the heaps of bounce house, grabbing any child's arm or leg before pulling them out to safety. Eventually, the chaos subsided, and each child was reunited with their adult. Although injuries from the birthday bounce house fail were minor, the impact on the party was massive. Many of the guests left immediately, missing out on the perfectly baked princess cake. The rest of the party guests dispersed shortly after, making up a number of reasons why they had to leave.
I forgot it's my dog's bat mitzvah.
With the party coming to an early end, Deborah felt both defeated and confused. In order to see what caused the bounce house to misfunction, she and her family reviewed their security footage. It just so happened that their outdoor camera on the side of their house had the perfect vision of the electrical outlet in question. So the family gathered around, fast-forwarding through the footage to the time of the implosion. A few minutes before impact, the cameras picked up movement on the side of the home. To Deborah's horror, she saw a man walking briskly onto her property and up to the outlet. The man then grabbed the bounce house extension cord and angrily yanked it out. On May 21st, 2017, Deborah Romero threw her daughter's first birthday party in the backyard of her Port St. Lucie, Florida home. During the event, outdoor security cameras captured a purple and pink inflatable Disney princess bounce house that was rented for the party. The inflatable was filled with 10 to 12 children, ranging from ages 1 to 10, when suddenly it deflated with all the kids inside. The birthday girl's godfather, Glenn Hunt, was quoted about the event, stating,
Chaos. Absolute chaos. Some of the kids were crying. One of them actually was kind of traumatized by the incident. Another one, when he was being removed, his leg got a little injured.
Party host Deborah Romero described the event also, saying,
We were very nervous about the kids because it was extremely hot and they were trapped inside the bounce house. We couldn't really reach for all the kids, and we unfortunately had to pull one of the kids out by his leg.
While there were no major injuries, a couple of the children were later seen by their regular physicians to get checked out after the fall. A different security cam on the side of the home spotted something else right before the incident. That video showed a man in a red shirt walking into the backyard and speaking to the hired party DJ. He then turned around, unplugging the electrical cord to the bounce house and calmly walking back across the street. The man in the video turned out to be 70-year-old nearby neighbor Charles Watruba. Master Sergeant Frank Sabul of the Port St. Lucie Police Department theorized on motive, saying,
We believe that he thinks he was pulling the plug to the DJ booth, but it didn't. It pulled the plug to the bounce house.
Regardless of reasoning, Charles Watruba was arrested and faced misdemeanor charges, including trespassing and disorderly conduct. He was later released, and no punishments were listed online. Baby birthday parties can be a cute and innocent time of celebration, but there is also a chance they can end in carnage. It is difficult enough for parents to decide on a theme, menu, and location to honor their child's birth, let alone dealing with a cranky and reckless neighbor that's down to ruin the fun. So the next time you're hosting or attending one of these kid events with disgusting cake or annoying guests, just remember, it could be worse. There could always be a grumpy old man waiting to burst your bubble or break your bounce house.
Or you could not serve Jell-O shots, which would then be the worst thing you could do.
Guilty as charged.
What was his punishment again?
He was charged with trespassing, and one article said it was disturbing the peace, which was funny because that was what your guy was charged with. But most of the other articles said it was trespassing and disorderly conduct.
But you don't know what his punishment was?
Yeah,
Oh,
no
okay.
punishments were listed. I looked and looked and looked.
Damn, I'd love to know what that would end up getting a person.
I
Probably
know.
not anything.
Probably not much because nobody followed up like they do. But also they said he was immediately released. Like they
Yeah.
weren't holding him or anything. So I'm like, what does that even mean? Did he have to pay a fine and write them an apology letter or something?
I was getting such strong Amanda vibes throughout that whole thing. Just like you said, my story was making you picture Macy's house. I was picturing yours because obviously this story was you
Yes.
the whole damn time.
I know. I was writing it from my own personal experiences of what is hard to do for a child's party, what the vibe is, like what you stress over. But also, I had the whole surveillance footage to watch of this party, too. So the video did a really good job of giving me all the little details of the castle, the theme, the colors. I tried to keep it all extremely true to the real life party. But yeah, that is funny that you pictured my house because I was truly writing it from my perspective as a mom.
Yeah, I mean, you just did it for a 2-year-old. So
Yeah.
not much different.
Not much different
And
at
you had
all.
a bounce thing.
I had a bounce house. Yes, I did.
Inside, though, you
Inside,
animal.
I know I am an animal, but it was so rainy. But yeah, no, this bounce house could not have fit in my basement. It was one of the really tall ones. The one that we have is pretty short and specifically made for kids. This one was taller than an adult, though.
Oh, okay. I also wanted to point out, I love it when we have these crimes where the person's quote is very dramatic without us playing it up to be dramatic.
Right.
Just to have his quote start with chaos or whatever. That's my favorite.
I know. I was like, you dramatic dude. But I will say, okay, to be fair, anytime a child or children are injured or they're in a structure that's like collapsing underneath them, I would be dramatic as the parent as well, okay?
It probably was chaos.
And it probably was, and they were yanking the limbs and they were yanking the kids and going through the heaps of the house. But I am glad that there were no serious injuries, and therefore it allowed me to tell this on our show.
Right.
My show, Trevin, mine. No, we were allowed to tell it on our show because nobody got hurt. So I was glad to hear that at least.
Yeah. I love the way the quote was going that you were reading, because it almost kind of sounded like they said, we were trying to get everybody out as quick as we could, and they said we pulled one up by their leg. I thought they were going to say we got as many as we could, but there were just some lost. Some lost to the bounce house.
We had to leave a few behind under the tarps forever.
A few good young men were lost.
I love that. But yeah, I do understand from the parents' perspective. And I think some of the quotes that I did read that I didn't put in there, she really did say it kind of ruined the party because the parents were all just like frazzled after that. And a lot of them left early.
Well, especially knowing that a weirdo came onto your property to do it.
Well, and it sounds like, and I wrote it kind of in this way, I guess I don't know for 100% certainty, but how I interpreted it is that they didn't even know what the cause was. They thought it just came unplugged until after the party ended, and then they went back at their footage and looked, and that's when they found it out.
Damn.
And I didn't put this in the recap, but I did want to make it clear. 2 things. Baby Sue, I don't know her real name. I made up her name. And also, apparently they were able to catch the neighbor because she posted the video of the surveillance footage on her HOA page.
Like next door or something?
Yes. And somebody was like, that's Charles. So yeah, that's how he was officially caught. She didn't even recognize the neighbor.
Huh. So he wasn't like next door, just pissed off at the sound of it or something?
He was across the street. They said that he was like 500 feet away from her house. So it's not far, but obviously not a neighbor she recognizes.
I know a neighbor of mine that would probably do something like that.
Yes, you do.
If there were people having joy.
Both of our stories had to do with outdoor celebration hangouts and unwanted people approaching the party.
I had another one.
What?
The horrors of hosting.
That's so true.
You know, what can go wrong when hosting?
That's
when hosting goes wrong.
Well, she was like really over questioning her hosting abilities and am I going to be left out? And did I provide enough Doritos? And
yeah, she wanted to make friends.
Yep. And I was stressing over the balloon arch. It's a whole thing. Oh, I love that. That is great. That is the connection.
That's very relatable for you as a big time host.
I love to host a party, but it does come with its stresses. It really does.
I mean, as far as hosting goes, I'd call you a super host.
Hey, just put me on Airbnb.
Yeah, baby.
Well, I hope that everyone is having the best week. And just remember, no matter the crime, big or small, in the end, we're all doomed.
All doomed to be an all-star. Get your game on.
Get paid. Bye.
Oh.
Thank you all for bouncing around with us and for listening to our show.
And if you're tired of these Harrison Butker memes, why don't you follow us on social media? Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, or Threads. Live, Laugh, Larceny.
And if you have an embarrassing mugshot, let us know why. Send us your petty crime story, livelaughlarceny@gmail.com.
And give our show the same rating you would give All Star by Smashmouth. An instant classic, 5 stars. You can rate us wherever you rate podcasts, Spotify, Apple, or Good Pods. Jessica's palms were sweaty, knees weak, and arms heavy. She sat down to have a lunch of reheated spaghetti. She's nervous, but on the surface, she was getting ready to face her fears and have a social interaction with friends.
Okay, Eminem.